Test. Hello. Okay. The latest stream I've ever done. Actually, I don't know if it's the latest stream I've ever done. I feel like that Astroneer stream I did once felt pretty late. But who knows? I mean, I guess I would know. Wait, let me change this to live chat. Okay. Jesus. I wonder if it'll notify the Kyle Entertainment Discord server like it did last time. That was crazy. God, this guy sucks. 326. I feel like my score's gone down. Easy peasy. This guy's being very economical. Moving only the queen. But I think it's a mistake because it lets me set up all my pieces. Move them all forward. Then I go there and I've won. No, I haven't because he'll go there. I moved too early. It's okay. Oh boy. Oh my god, I've trapped the queen. My head is in the game. I even pushed him back a bit. God. I'll probably win on time. This is great. I feel like he'll take my queen. The pressure's on. 30 seconds remain. This is easy. 8 seconds, 7 seconds. I take the queen. God. They've given up, practically. Just resign. Oh, wait. I was going to ask them to resign, but then I almost resigned. Okay. Let's give them some time to think, all right? A few seconds here. All right. Then I'll put him in check and they won't know what to do and I'll win. All right. That was easy. Look at that streak. 2 wins and then an equal sign. I'm assuming that means I didn't play. Because I certainly didn't. Okay. Videos. So we have Fear of Depths, which we can't watch because Ciclet's not here. Unless he is here, you know, secretly. We have the awful state of Studio Mapper, which would be perfectly timed because, you know, the Jujutsu Kaisen finale is today. We have this video that Kyle Entertainment wants me to watch for some reason, The Deadly Problem with Spy Family. I don't know how you could possibly make a 20-minute video about Spy Family, but I am actually interested in what they would possibly say in that. Of these, I think the Spy Family one's probably the most interesting. And the Mapper one.
Oh my...
Alright, well, I'm watching the beginning of this, alright? And if it's not interesting, I'm stopping it.
God, it's an upload. Yes, indeed, it's a Christmas miracle. I produced the slop and now
How often does this guy upload? Wait a minute. Let's see. 6 months? Jesus, I remember when this came out. The One Piece live action would be terrible. It feels just like yesterday. Is he retired? Does he have like a job? Like, does he have a career? Wait, or does he have a lucrative Patreon here? Let's see. 86 paid members. That's like $200 a month. Yeah, I don't think he's living off his YouTube. All right, let's go.
you watch it. What's up, everybody? It's your boy BGE coming to you with a video. Yes, that's right. I've been working on good videos for quite a while now. This is not one of those. This is a rant video because there's a show I've been watching seasonally as the episodes come out that I have something that I must say to you about it. So here we are talking about it. I want to talk about Spy Family, one of my current favorite shows that's airing now, and the show that's single-handedly solving the Japanese birth rate crisis. Thank you, Abe. Your work is complete. I read some of the manga years ago, but I kind of gave up on that, so I've been watching the anime. And guess what? That anime is great. Mostly it's one of those don't think about the plot too much, enjoy the aesthetic and the goofy scenarios and the characters as they come, because it's well animated and silly and funny and epic, and perhaps most importantly, for our purposes here, comfy. And what I want to discuss...
Well, so far I've completely disagreed. I don't find Spy Family very interesting whatsoever. There are a few episodes that I've found to be great. The majority of it was perfectly fine. You know, I was like, okay, I'll keep watching this so I can put it on my Media Digest list thing. Now those first, if we're talking about the first like 10 episodes, those were bad is what I would say. I did not like those episodes. But you know what, if you're just to go check out my January digest to see what I thought about Spy Family.
Is an issue with that quality there. There is a problem with my beloved Spy Family's comfy vibe. And as an internet bitcher, I'm going to bitch about it here because this is the most important problem going on in any of our lives. This show has a great vibe, has a great atmosphere, has really good animation most of the time, until sometimes it doesn't. And the problem I have with
the animation is the issue?
Spy Family has to do with the character Yor.
Oh.
Wow, what happened? You have a problem with Yor? She's like hot, I love her, she's like my mommy, and I love her.
God.
Hey, listen. Shut up!
Oh no, is this like a generic video? There's no way it is, right? Because I know everyone talks about how, oh, Lloyd gets so much stuff to do. Oh my god, Anya gets so much stuff to do. But she never gets anything. Is this? There's no way that he would make such a generic video, right? Wait, let's see.
The problem with Yor is her gimmick. You've got to
Oh, okay, good. Look at this. Pleasantly surprising me with something
and a mind
new.
reader psychic girl and a dog that sees the future. But Yor is different from them because Yor's gimmick is that she is an assassin. And what does an assassin do? Assassins kill people, bloody murder, fuck shit all the time. And I'm telling you right now, her role as assassin fucks with the comfy vibe of Spy Family, and I'm not gonna take it anymore. And this has always been the case since the beginning of the show. But I gotta tell you, watching the most recent episodes,
Spy Family is amazing. The new season is sick. I have not seen the new season, but maybe I will watch it when it's done. I don't know.
Arc on the boat of Spy Family that has really come to a boiling point and been downright distracting and kind of off-putting on a show that I typically love everything that it's doing. Okay, so rewinding a moment, this is Yor's first solo arc, this boat arc, where she's in her primary secret occupation as assassin. She murders people for money. That is what Yor does. And immediately notice how on this mission, she isn't even primarily being an assassin. She's here as a protection job because we couldn't have her here murdering people. That'd be kind of fucked up, but we'll get more to that later. Notice also how it's been like 30-some episodes of the show, and only now is Yor getting an arc focused on her particular job. Right, that is also not an accident. Now, we're about to get into some annoying autistic moral calculus, but fuck you. You clicked on the video, it's what you get. I couldn't agree more that overanalyzing the morality of children's media is an embarrassing thing to spend your time on, but I'm not here to explain to you how Yor's actions are a moral issue and emotionally destroyed me or anything like that. I'm here to talk about how this is something much more serious. How a children's media property that I enjoy is fucking with my enjoyment of the show due to one of the characters having a gimmick that fucks with my comfy family show vibe, and I don't like it! So here's the deal if you're not familiar. Spy Family.
I don't know if I'll get anything from this video. I don't know. I mean, I can kind of see Spy Family. It definitely has a comfy. What does it have a comfy vibe? It has a. I guess kind of, because at least from what I remember from season 1, every episode felt like a self-contained kind of By the end of it, everyone will still be happy and it'll all be great. So I guess that's comfy, but I don't care about a criticism of the comfiness of Spy Family. I'm just not passionate enough about Spy Family. If you catch up on What If, though, I have not watched a single episode of What If Season 2 yet, because I have a great reason for it, though. Because tomorrow, I'm going to order a crust, beautiful, amazing pizza. I'm going to eat all of it, and I'm going to watch Season 2 of not Spy Family, Jesus Christ. Wouldn't that be a thing if I just decided to watch Spy Family Season 2? What If Season 2? New season has a cruise ship arc. Wow. That reminds me of that Sweet Life of Zack and Cody that I used to watch. Alright. Well, you know what? I'll give this another minute.
Is a comedy slash
I like Best Guy Ever. I enjoy his narration. I enjoy his video style. We'll
slight degrees of like mystery and spy vibe show, and so it has to balance the serious spy vibe with the cutesy fun family vibe. Hence, Spy Family. Have I blown your mind? So
Makes
it cannot
sense.
be all one or the other.
Oops.
There must be a balance. And there's some things you can't do while still maintaining that balance. Namely, make any of the protagonists unlikable, or dare I say, evil. The show has to balance the morality of the characters in the context of the
You can make him evil, right? Like, who cares if they're... I mean, I don't know. I was gonna say, like, they all eat meat, right? Yet they have a pet. Like, isn't that kind of evil? I don't know. Maybe not. Like, it depends. How far are you taking the morality here, I guess? I don't know.
East-West Germany standard countries, Westalis and Ostania, in a Cold War, neither of which seem to be inherently good or evil. People just have loyalty to their country and are working hard to avoid war breaking out. This is the primary goal going on in the show, avoiding mass death in war. So who are the main characters and how do they do that? First of all, there's the spy, Lloyd. And no, I'm not spelling his name the canonical way. That way is stupid. Get it together. Lloyd is spelled like this. Although, granted, I've seen worse. Okay, hold up. While working on this video, I received some earth-shattering news that apparently L-O-I-D Lloyd is a real word, meaning a thin piece of celluloid or plastic, specifically used to break into doorways by sliding it into the door frame like you can do with a credit card.
You know what? This video has a comfy vibe. Maybe he's actually going for that. Maybe that's the reveal at the end where he reveals, you know what? I'm just like Spy Family in my videos. Anyway. Okay, fair enough. Thank you. What time is JJL? You mean JJW because it's an amazing show. I don't know. It's like in my time, it's like 5:15 a.m. So maybe in an hour, maybe something like that. That's usually when it comes out. But yeah,
something
I'm
a burglar
excited.
might do, or perhaps a spy. Was this intentional? Now that I know what that is, I'm gonna say probably yes. So now I know, and so do you. You're welcome. And don't you dare pretend that you knew what that was already. Anyway, another W for Lloyd, and we're back to it. I'm ride or die for my main man, Lloyd, and I love him. He's the heart and soul of the show, and his spy mission is the foundational glue that holds the family together. And importantly, narratively, Lloyd is so clearly doing what he does because he thinks it's right, and his whole character is based on that.
Alright, that's enough of this video. What are people saying about this? Oh my god. Tatsuya Endo, I'm guessing that's the manga author, has come out to say that the original idea he had for this story has been altered so much by the editorial, even pre-release, that it has almost nothing related to it anymore. He doesn't dislike this fact, but instead actually appreciates it for what it is, since the altered series is a success, something most, if not all, his previous works weren't, and has given back his confidence in his own writing. However, this fact becomes kind of clear in Yor's character exactly. She has a lot of by-the-book traits that allow her to be very marketable, and while it worked, it's evident that it's not... Okay, interesting. Who knew? Spy Family is just like Code Geass, you know, having a giant change, because we learned about that last stream when I read that article from Heath. Anyway, I don't know. I feel like... I don't know. This wasn't... Video wasn't for me, alright? Good to see your face. Excellent. Well, if you want to see more of my face, check out the Media Digest coming out in a few days, where I'll be talking for hours, alright? Anyway. Oh, Jesus Christ. Alright. Now we're going to watch a touching grass video, The Awful State of Studio Mapper. Now, usually, you know, I have sworn off all these Mapper videos because I feel like I've seen everything that I could possibly see. However, this channel made this video, the Mushoku Tensei effect, and it had really crazy editing. I was like, whoa, this is really cool. And it's like a small channel, and they're like making really good videos, even though like the subject matter here about Mapper is not very interesting. Let's see what they do with this subject matter here. Anyway.
Studio Mappa is one of the most insane and popular animation studios of this decade, working for some of the biggest names out there, such as Attack on Titan, Jujutsu Kaisen, Chainsaw Man, and the current airing Vinland Saga Season 2. It has been able to deliver some extremely well-animated and compelling shows in an even more extreme short amount of time, which initially people were only amazed by how the company was able to keep up to its impressive tight schedule and the philosophy which the corporation was based on, but it was gradually found out there was something more obscure behind it. Studio Mappa has also been heavily criticized for its massive usage of CGI animation, which was both a point of strength and weakness of the company, but people year by year actually started loving it and to appreciate the quality that the studio was able to provide. So this is basically the story of Studio Mappa.
Oh boy, alright. Let's see.
But first of all, we need to know who exactly was the founder of Studio Mappa.
Oh, what was his name? Can I even remember? Maruyama, obviously. But I don't know what his first name is.
The journey begins with its foundation in June 2011 by Banzo Maruyama, hence the name Maruyama.
I didn't even hear what he said.
Animation Products Project Association, that at the age of 70 with over 50 years of experience in the anime industry founded this new studio. He also was the same co-founder of Madhouse, and the reason of his breakaway from his previous studio was because Madhouse was becoming too much work intensive and restrictive, but Maruyama wanted to be in an environment that offered more creative freedom, which he couldn't find there anymore. But funny enough, Mappa has today become what it feared the most, meaning that it is crossing the same path Madhouse has gone through. But Studio Mappa's original purpose was to actually produce a...
Okay, either I've seen this video before on stream, which is possible, but I feel like it's unlikely, or literally every Mappa video that talks about the history gives the exact same talking points every time. Which I guess kind of makes sense. There's probably not that much information out there, at least that's been translated into English, so I don't know.
But Studio Mappa's original purpose was to actually produce a film in this corner of the world that had to face production and finance.
Crazy, and then it had a production issue, it went delayed, but eventually came out.
At Madhouse. However, moving studios generated even more problems, delaying the release of this film only in
Crazy.
2016. But the very first production Mappa is actually released was Kids on a Slope, a thoroughly decent show about jazz music that has received a considerable amount of success since it was directed by Shinichiro Watanabe and composed by Yoko Kanno, the very same people that worked on Cowboy Bebop. Over the years, Mappa has been producing some notable shows and started building a good reputation around itself. It was in this period that Mappa created its first anime original, and that was Terror and Resonance, a completely different genre of anime that was centered on a psychological thriller story. And thanks to the success this anime...
Yeah, the editing is great. That's the one thing I like about this. But once again, we're not watching this video because I feel like I've seen a million videos that cover this exact same content. Jesus. I don't even know if I watched them all on stream or if it was all off stream. I just rewatched the video again, and the only other studio that surpasses Mappa, in my opinion, is a Manglobe. Never even heard of them. I guess I don't know that many studios. Let's see. Mappa. Wit Studio, Madhouse, Sunrise, Toei Animation, UFO Table, Kyoto Animation, Bones Bind, A1 Pictures. That's like a anime studio, right? Clover something, Cloverworks. That's like the one everyone compares Mappa to, or says it's similar to. Science Saru. Let me just think of the Star Wars Vision Season 1 studios. Who else was there? White Fox, etc., etc. All right, I can name a few. I'm pretty good. All right. Look at that. We've already knocked off 2 videos from this list here. What's next? What else do I start and not finish? Ruby's Cast Bloat, 21 minutes. Let's do it. Why not? 1.5.
First things first, having a large cast in a show is not inherently a bad thing. When we discuss the issue
It's inherently a good thing, actually.
with Ruby's cast bloat, I feel like some people misconstrue the issue into being that a large cast is bad in general. That's not always the case, though. In fact, tons of great stories involve casts as big or even bigger than Ruby's. Ruby has a main cast of 8 to 11-ish members.
Yeah, okay, I can accept
Depending
that.
on what volume you're watching, which is similar to the likes of Sailor Moon, whose cast reaches 9 to 12-ish characters. And not just the main characters, but having large supporting casts too, like Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, Dragon Ball Z, One Piece, Steven Universe. Hell, even Lord of the Rings has a ton of characters. So it's not that having many characters in
Game of Thrones?
your story is bad. In fact, with stories like these, where our main cast is traveling around to many locations within the world, fleshing out a lot of characters helps to build out that world even more, help making that world feel more lived in and real. The reason we talk about cast bloat being an issue with Ruby is how the story actually uses its large ensemble. I've decided to break it down into 4 key elements. Number 1, what's the point of having all these characters if they don't ever get to interact with each other? Part of the fun with a large cast is seeing our heroes interacting with the various interesting people we get introduced to. However, with Ruby, characters tend to just stick to the same old pairings with each other. Ren and Nora have talked to each other 1,000 times, but how often did Ren ever talk to Pyrrha? How many conversations has Nora had with Yang?
Has Ren ever talked to anyone besides Nora? I don't know if I can recall a single conversation he's had with anyone. I guess I've seen him like get angry at Jean. Is there anything else? Have I ever seen him talk to Weiss ever? God.
Blake and Yang are always together, but when has Blake talked to Oscar or Jean? Not even looking at our main cast of characters, did Ruby ever talk to Winter? Has Weiss and Sun ever had a chat? Did Crow ever say—
Damn, this is crazy. They're gonna say this is a criticism, a bad thing about Ruby, but this just shows how complex the show is, right? There's so many moving parts that they can't even get these people to interact. And when they do, it'll be the greatest like payoff ever, because it's like you're waiting for 9 volumes for their interaction.
say anything to Penny? I truly think the issue with Ruby's large cast wouldn't be considered nearly as big of an issue if the characters talked to each other more. Clearly, the writers already struggle with just having 2 characters in the main cast talk to each other. Like, I can count the conversations Ruby and Blake have had on one hand, and they're on the same team. They've been together since the very beginning of the show, and they barely talk. It becomes this thing of, why introduce more and more characters when we haven't even gotten meaningful relationships and development between the characters we already have? It makes the story feel like a group of mild acquaintances reluctantly wandering the world.
How many times has Mikasa talked to Armin? Like, I feel like there's a lot of Armin Eren conversations. There's a lot of... Oh no, I guess there's like... I can think of a few. Like, there's one where Armin is yelling at her. It's not really a conversation, but it's like, at least they're talking. What else is... I'm sure there's a lot that I'm just forgetting, right? I guess Mikasa's just not much of a talker, is she? She doesn't give, like, grand speeches or anything. And by the time Eren is, like, taken away from the story, she's kind of sad, so she doesn't talk much. What else is, like, an example? How about, like, the Stardust Crusaders? Do they all talk to each other? Who are they again? Let's get them up. Jotaro hardly talks, but I've seen him and oh my god, do I remember the names? Kakyoin? I've seen them talk. I guess I've seen them all talk because Jotaro is like the main character, so he always talks to everyone. Joseph and Kakyoin, sure. Jotaro, yes. Polnareff, yes. And Abdul, whatever. I've seen them talk. Have I ever seen Abdul and Kakyoin talk to each other? I can't recall a single time they talk to each other. But Abdul is like dead for half the season, or half the part. So I don't know. Who knows? I don't know. I feel like this class cast bloat thing is probably more... It applies to almost everything, I would assume.
World together. What's worse is that actually
not cast bloat, I guess. Just the... Not all characters talk to each other.
Really important interactions ended up being entirely missed out on. That would have...
Or maybe not even the characters don't talk to each other, but like... When I recall something, it feels like the characters don't talk to each other, even if they do.
Really greatly improved the characters and the story. Imagine if Penny and Pyrrha had actually known each other before Pyrrha accidentally ripped her in half. It would change from, oh no, I've killed a girl who's my crush's friend's friend, to, I've killed one of my friends.
Oh, this is a silly criticism, I think. Oh, it's not really a criticism, just saying what if, but, I think I think the fact that Pyrrha doesn't know Penny makes it more interesting, like, it kind of does make it interesting, because she's like, I don't know how to describe it beyond just saying that it sets, like, the entire tone of this fight is completely different because they don't know each other. Like, on one hand, you've got the this famous, like, person who's on cereal boxes or whatever, who's like a renowned fighter and has made it to this, like, final stage or whatever. And all the attention is on her. Then you've got this, like, rising star who's, like, somehow beaten everyone and is, like, here in Penny. And it's like these two don't know each other and they're, like, fighting in this arena. It like creates an interesting vibe, I guess. I don't know. I like the vibe of the fight, the fact that they don't know each other. If they knew each other, it would be a bit different. Like, imagine if this final fight was like I guess what you're saying is if it was Ruby instead of Pyrrha in this position and Ruby accidentally killed Penny here. I just feel like that entire situation is completely different, and I think it's equally as interesting. I don't think it's like more interesting or anything, but I can't really describe why. I guess it's just the vibe of the scene. The fact that they don't know each other, I think, is what makes the scene work for me at the moment. What even is Ruby? Ruby, I guess it doesn't really stand for anything. Ruby is the name of a show. It's the name of the team of the 4 main characters. Are they the 4 main characters? I guess Ruby is the main character. It's crazy. There's RWBY Ruby. There's Ruby Rose, the main character, the main person in the team Ruby. You know, Ruby is also a team with 4 characters. And it's a show by Rooster Teeth initially. Now I think it's still made by Rooster Teeth and maybe it'll be cancelled or something, but who knows? You follow characters, there's like action. He was created by this guy, then he died, and everyone was like, "Oh my god, he's dead. The show's bad now." I don't know. It's a show. It's a thing.
Kira accidentally ripped her in half. It would change from, "Oh no, I've killed a girl who's my crush's friend's friend," to, "I've killed one of my friends." That hits a bit different, doesn't it? Adam never
It hits different. I don't think it hits a bit different, like as in like better. Like I think it's just a different thing.
interacted with Weiss. Her heated feelings about the White Fang seemed really important back in Volume 1. The Schnee Company is considered a huge force against faunist rights and
God, Volume 1 is like, it's so terrible in the writing, but I love it. I love it so much.
workers. Adam is literally branded with her family's name permanently burned onto his face, but he died without Weiss ever getting to see that, without Weiss ever getting to acknowledge this dark side of the family's company. All that interesting character growth and potential went down the drain along with Adam's body. Watts, one of the main villains for at least 5 years, died with no one ever interacting with him.
Wait, did he die? I don't even remember.
Not any of them. None of the main heroes, a main antagonist, lived and died without the heroes ever knowing anything about him. There was a whole person running around.
That is pretty funny to think about.
Teamed up with Cinder, was the technician behind the virus that led to the destruction of Beacon, and they never faced him. I don't even think they knew his name. Why introduce all of these characters? Characters that have really—
Well, I mean, in fairness, saying you don't, like, Arthur had some of the greatest scenes in, like, volumes, what, like, was he introduced in volume 4? I don't know, whatever, in volume 7 or 8 or whatever when he was introduced. Like, one of the greatest scenes in all of RWBY is when he's, like, yelling at Cinder and is like, "You're useless, you've done nothing, kill me, and I'm happy if you kill me." And I'm like, man, this Arthur guy, greatest character in the show. And this person doesn't want him there just because he didn't interact with people? My god, ridiculous.
ever knowing anything about him. There was a whole person running around, teamed up with Cinder, was the technician.
Yeah, I feel like Arthur's a very bad example for this, because it's like, he just is so great. It doesn't matter if he interacts with people, just on his own, he's great, he's a great character. Like, I don't know.
Behind the virus that led to the destruction of Beacon, and they never faced him. I don't even think they knew his name. Why introduce all these characters? Characters that have really interesting elements to them, just to ignore those interesting elements. It makes the characters on the whole feel irrelevant. Watts could have been gone entirely. Have, like—
Whoa! Jesus, you take away Watts and it's the greatest scenes in the show disappear, my god.
Mercury, or whatever, be the smart techie one who invented the virus. The end. Nothing's different. Watts as a character—
Nothing's different. Mercury is a, like, subordinate to Cinder. They have a completely different relationship to Arthur here, who's a subordinate to Salem. So it's like, these two are equals. Mercury is obviously under— I guess she's saying if you rewrite the entire relationship, but then if you rewrite the entire relationship, that, like, it just, like, changes everything. Because, how would you even do that? Because Mercury is obviously introduced in, like, volume 2 or something, like, all the way back then. And he was, like, pivotal to the whole undermining of the Beacon Academy. Like, how would you even rewrite all that? Like, I understand their point. Like, you could condense the characters, and then they'd have more interactions. But I feel like you don't need to, because, like, Arthur on his own is just so great.
in his entirety has no meaningful impact on the development of the characters.
He has a massive impact on the development of Cinder. Maybe this came— oh no, I was going to say maybe this came out before volume 8 or 7 or whatever, but unless I'm misremembering, he has a great scene with Cinder, and I feel like that was like a big change in her character where she started to kind of doubt herself a bit. But maybe I'm misremembering where her arc went after that. Cinder versus Arthur? I can't watch it, I guess. Oh yeah, this scene. Actually, I don't know if I can watch it. Oh my god, I forgot he's voiced by Chris Sabat. Oh my god, what a guy. Should I watch it? Last time I watched a RWBY thing, my whole video got blocked. I don't know. Anyway, you get the gist of it, alright? She's holding out Arthur here. Arthur's just laughing and is like, "What are you doing? You're pointless. You've achieved nothing. All you've been is a hindrance. You're a thorn in my side." And then she, like, puts him down. And it's kind of like, I guess you're right. She's, like, depressed. And I'm like, oh my god, it's in the development. You know, she's changed. That's crazy. All because of this character here who this video essayist wants to remove.
The end. Nothing's different. Watts as a character in his entirety—
Oh, maybe she'll address it and she'll be like, actually, that scene with Arthur was bad for this reason.
has no meaningful impact on
Which is
the
fair. Maybe I've forgotten.
development of the characters. If you can replace a character with literally any other character and change nothing about your story progression or your main character's development, then you have a waste of a character. Number 2, the no-name—
I feel like this entire first part fell apart for me. I was kind of agreeing. I'm like, oh yeah, I guess more interactions could be okay. But it all fell apart when she said to get rid of Arthur, who's like, it's like the best character in the show.
main side characters are the ones doing all the important things.
Wait, the no-name side characters are the ones doing all the important things. Okay.
One of RWBY's biggest flaws is the fact that the main cast famously do next to nothing important for the plot. Sometimes it literally feels like I'm watching a weird parody story where we're following the events of the side characters while the real heroes are doing the important stuff in the background. Like that one episode of My Little Pony. You know the one. As early as Volume 3, the old folks gather behind closed doors to discuss the delicate balance of the maiden's defenses and Salem's plans to interfere. We watch as Cinder schemes with her lackeys as she intricately pieces together the events for the fall of Beacon. We see Pyrrha being presented with a glimpse into this unknown secret gathering. The real plot, the real meaning of the story is being offered to her. She gets to explore this plot point. Oh, Team RWBY? They're playing video games and not knowing literally anything important for the main plot. Whoopee! A story can have a lot of side characters, or even characters who play important roles other than the main protagonists. But the main protagonists have that title for a reason. They're supposed to be the main ones we follow for this story. Frodo isn't the
Okay, it's an interesting point. I'd never thought about it before. It seems not true to me, but why? Like in volumes 1 to 3, you have a few, I guess particularly in volume 3, you have multiple storylines going on simultaneously. Like it's been so long. It's been like, I guess I did rewatch this like 2 years ago, but it just feels like it's been so long. But yeah, you've got the like main cast storyline. You've got the like, you know, Pyrrha, old people storyline about turning into a maiden. And then you've got the Cinder storyline as well. And these are all like occurring at the same time. I feel like just because the plot progresses based on one of those storylines, I don't feel like the other two are less important. But I can see the criticism of like, I want to watch the main characters. The main characters should be doing the most important things. I guess I can see that. But I guess the thing is that if you're watching as it airs, that's an issue. But watching it in retrospect now, where it's like, since volume 3, we've gotten what, like 6 volumes where the main cast are doing the important things. Like they've clued into the main plot that were being discussed in volume 3 by the old guys, side characters, and now they are the main thrust of the story. So I don't know. Maybe it only works when you're considering like those first 3 volumes in a vacuum.
The main protagonist because of no reason. He's the one we have a story about because he's the one doing the thing in the story. Imagine if, instead, after walking up all the way to the foot of Mount Doom, Éomer suddenly came up out of nowhere and took the ring the final 10 feet. Yeah, I know how that would feel because I watched Team RWBY get all the way to the end before Team Coffee showed up and finished the story instead. Imagine if, instead of Steven finding out about the Gem War and Gem Homeworld, Lars was learning about all of that. Steven's in the show still. He's still propped up as the important one, but while Lars is learning about super important elements from the plot proper, we cut to Steven sitting around playing video games and being completely unaware of what the show is about. When maidens were first introduced, I really didn't want Team...
It's kind of a similar criticism. Well, okay. Yeah, it is kind of... It's like a mix of things, because this video was made 3 months ago, which means they'd seen volume up to volume 9. I was going to say it's like a similar criticism to the Jon Snow stuff in early Game of Thrones, where a lot of people say... oh, but Jon is like, he's sidelined or whatever. Like, he doesn't do anything. Every time we come here, it's like doing boring stuff. Well, all the interesting action is going on, like, down in the actual main, like, King's Landing area, you know? And Jon is so boring and uninteresting and blah, blah, blah. But obviously, he goes on to become the main character and, like, do the most interesting things later. Just because, and I guess his plot does end up being the most important plot. So, I don't know. I guess it doesn't really apply here, but it's something that crossed my mind.
RWBY to become the maidens? None of them, because it felt very cliche. Now, I'd kill to see one of these 4 girls get glowing eyes. Hell, include Nora and Emerald into that lineup too. Literally, anyone in the main cast should be a maiden, because the plot...
I mean, Ruby's basically a maiden, right? You know, there was Silver Eyes.
...only cares about the maidens. Team RWBY are upstairs doing grunt work, while the real main characters battle over the Haven Vault downstairs. You know, Raven and Vernal. Clearly our real main characters. Team RWBY fiddle around doing more grunt work...
I'd say Raven's a decently big character. Like, I feel like I understand who she is.
Team RWBY are upstairs doing grunt work, while the real main characters battle over the Haven Vault downstairs. You know, Raven and Vernal. Clearly our real main characters. Team RWBY fiddle around doing more grunt work, while the real main characters fight off Cinder and try to get the powers from Freya. You know, Winter and Penny. Clearly our real main characters. And it's not just...
Penny is absolutely a main character. I'd say Winter's also a pretty massive character, but Penny is like, I would put Penny as like the 5th of the main cast. Like in terms of, but I guess it depends on, who would I say? No, I would feel pretty confident in that. I would say up until volume 8, she was, I would say, the 3rd main, even though she's not in it too much. Like she only appears in volume 3 is what I remember, but she plays such a big part of it. And then she also reappears in this Atlas stuff, and she plays such a big part of it that to me, like when I think of Ruby in retrospect, I would place Penny up very highly in terms of like how much of an impact I feel like she had on the story. She feels like a big deal.
Grunt work, while the real
Like more so than like even Nora or like I just remembered Jean. Okay, obviously Jean would be like the next after Ruby. But then I guess I'd place Penny after Jean. Yeah.
main characters battle over the Haven vault downstairs. You know, Raven and Vernal.
But I can completely agree about Vernal here, right? I don't remember anything about her.
Clearly our real main characters. Team Ruby fiddle around doing more grunt work, while the real main characters fight off Cinder and try to get the powers from Freya. You know, Winter and Penny. Clearly our real main characters. And it's not just the big important plot thing.
I would be perfectly fine if Penny became the main character of Ruby. I love Penny. She's like one of my, was it 2 or 3 SD characters that I love so much? It was Penny, it was Weiss. Was there someone else? I don't remember. I love those two.
It feels like every meaningful moment in Ruby gets handed off to someone other than the 4 main Ruby girls. So in turn, I, as an audience member, have become resentful of these side characters, staring bitterly at my screen as...
Okay, I guess I can, to summarize what's going on here, my stance here. I agree. It's very interesting. Like, it's interesting to point out the fact that Ruby never is really the climax of the volume. Team Ruby doesn't really address the plot directly or whatever. In the climax, I guess, specifically. I just completely disagree that even matters. Like, who cares who, like, does the final plot stuff? I don't know. It doesn't bother
Robin
me.
and the Happy Huntresses and Harriet and the Aesops eat away screen time, watching Harriet cry over the death of Clover and get a meaningful moment to express how hurt she feels over losing him, as I wish Crow could have gotten this moment instead. As I wish Ruby...
Hey, Crow had his moment. Oh, I don't know. Wait. What is it? Let me...
and the
wait,
4
let's
main
watch
Ruby
that again.
girls. So in turn, I, as an audience member, have become resentful of these side characters, staring bitterly at my screen as Robin and the Happy Huntresses and Harriet and the Aesops eat away screen time, watching Harriet cry over the death of Clover and get a meaningful moment to express how hurt she feels over losing him, as I wish...
I think that moment... I guess she wants an explicit moment or whatever. I feel like the moment with Harriet is fine. Like, it's good. It's okay. The moment with Crow... when his actions result in his death. What was his name? Oh my god. Wait, let's listen to
real
that
main
again.
characters. And it's not just the big important plot things. It feels like every meaningful moment in Ruby gets handed off to someone other than the 4 main Ruby girls. So in turn, I, as an audience member, have become resentful of these side characters, staring bitterly at my screen as Robin and the Happy Huntresses and Harriet and the Aesops eat away screen time, watching Harriet cry over the death of Clover. And
Clover, obviously the lucky guy, you know. Yeah, I feel like the moment Crow had at the end of Volume 7, where he's like, what have I done? What do I do? Like, he doesn't have to say it explicitly. It's just like the sadness. Like, it's a good example of like, show don't tell or whatever, when that works well sometimes. Yeah, and it's like you don't really need a scene like this where Crow is like expressing his emotions, because we already saw how he felt about it at the end of Volume 7. So
get a meaningful moment to express how hurt she feels over...
like that. The moment with Crow is the most meaningful, like way more meaningful than this like stuff with Harriet. But maybe that's her point, is what she's saying. She's like, should have been Crow, but I feel like we already got what we wanted from Crow. Like, this Harriet thing is just like a bonus.
For losing him, as I wish Crow could have gotten this moment instead. As I wish Ruby could have properly gotten to have this moment over Penny's death. No, I don't care about Vine's...
Yeah, I can kind of see the Penny thing with Ruby, but I feel like Ruby, rather than addressing it, internalizes it and tries to be like the strong leader, and that's the whole point of Volume 9. So it's kind of like, I don't know.
sacrificing himself to save an empty city. I care about Yang falling off of the edge of the world. You know, the character we've been with since the start of the show 10 years ago, not this loser nobody who's had 5 lines of dialogue. If the side characters aren't stealing the important plot beats away from the main cast, then they're stealing away precious screen time and animation effort from them instead. And maybe it's because the writers just don't like their characters, coming up with these new, interesting characters instead that they want to play with, like a shiny new doll instead of their old, boring ones that they're used to. Well, guess what? If your characters ever interacted with each other a lot more, I bet they wouldn't feel so boring. Number 3, character efficiency. I mentioned all those shows that have large casts, and at a glance, you might not think about the reason behind why the cast ended up that big to begin with. Now, it could be that the storytellers wanted a shiny new doll, like I was saying, jazz up the story with a fun new design, introduce a nifty new ability or something. But the real key reason a character will need to be introduced to a story is because they serve a purpose no other character serves. They can give information no other character could originally give. They can solve a problem or have a key skill that the other characters couldn't handle. Even something like having a personality that the others might have needed in their team to better set the mood for the show. Characters serve a purpose. And in Ruby, too often often characters feel unnecessarily repetitive, and I think a key issue of this started with the team structure. In the show, teams are made of 4 people, which means every time one character gets introduced, that implies there's 3 other characters that need to go along with them. And unfortunately, RT was very uncreative when constructing their characters and their teams. Early volume stuff.
Okay, that's true, alright? Early Ruby, there's nothing good about early Ruby, despite how much I absolutely love it, alright? In terms of, like, any form of, like, trying to come up with a metric to evaluate the show, it'll, like, fail on the majority of metrics. But you know what? It's still great.
They need a bully character for the Jean arc, so they made Cardin. Makes sense. He's named after the Cardinal of Winchester, which is a very clever reference to Joan of Arc, which is Jean's inspiration. It makes sense. It's all cool. Hunky-dory. But now Cardin needs a team. So what do? They just make 3 carbon copies of Cardin. They're not clever references, they're just also birds because, get it, cardinal, get it? They have no other defining personality traits. By all means, it's just the same character 3 more times. Here's Sun. We wanted a cool guy character. So then we meet his team, and it's just a whole team of cool guy characters. Wasn't one of the fun elements about having a team of 4 the idea that it's 4 distinct personalities learning teamwork? This notion of making a new character.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the point of Team Ruby, but, like, you can have other reasons for having teams of 4s in the show. Like, what would a team of bullies be like? You know, what would a team of cool people be like?
For the story, then making the rest of their team the same exact archetype feels like a waste of potential, and in the long run, it's really unfortunately bloated the cast in a very boring.
Waste of potential? You can, maybe someone can, like, correct me if I've ever said this before, but I feel like I would never stand by a waste of potential in a story. Like, as a criticism, I guess. Because, like, is it really waste of potential that I'm thinking about? No, actually, you know what? Forget that. Put that aside, alright? I'll come back to this later.
Boring way. Volume 1, they wanted their main heroes and our main heroes as best friends. Then along with the rest of the volume, they needed a bully character, a cool guy character, a shy bullied girl, and Penny. Well, that right there is your team of 4. I know, technically Sun and Penny come from different schools and Velvet's a year older. Let's just ignore that for right now. Rather than look at what they wanted to introduce and consider the efficiency of making these characters one team, they instead chose a much more boring option and gave them teammates who all have either the same personality as each other or almost no personality. And don't you tell me that this lineup of characters wouldn't be interesting to see as a team. We got a fun-loving blonde with Super Saiyan inspired strength, often being the team's pick-me-up and also an emotional backbone when things get serious. We got someone who comes from a life of privilege who needs to overcome their prejudices after being teamed up with a Faunus. We have a Faunus who's faced discrimination and struggles to find her own strength and courage, and a leader with unusual abilities, who most people might not think was the best choice for the position, but she's earnest and kind and caring about those around her. Does that not sound interesting? Well, I hope so, because I was literally just describing Team Ruby. Come on, there's so many—
Damn, that was a crazy twist. I can't believe I was just bamboozled that greatly. That is amazing. That's one of the greatest twists in the issue I've ever seen in my life. Wow. Wait a minute.
Saiyan inspired strength, often being the team's pick-me-up and also an emotional backbone when things get serious. We got someone who comes from a life of privilege who needs to overcome their prejudices after being teamed up—
Jesus. This is amazing. I can't believe it. This video went from like a I don't know about this to like, wow, I can't believe they just got me like this.
With a Faunus, we have a Faunus who's faced discrimination and struggles to find her own strength and courage, and a leader with unusual abilities, who most people might not think was the best choice for the position, but she's earnest and kind and—
And I'm, okay, if I'm understanding correctly, the point here is that if you disattach what we know from Ruby as a show, like the team, actually, sorry, Team Ruby, like if we discount what we know about them, and we do that by creating this team here who are exactly the same as like Team Ruby, but we don't know that they're Team Ruby. And we're like, oh yeah, you know what? This team would be really good if they like all interacted and stuff. And then she reveals it by saying, this actually is Team Ruby. That's why the interactions would be important, but there's no interactions. It convinces you the fact that Team Ruby should interact more or something. Is that the point they're going for? Because if it is, that's like genius.
Caring about those around her. Does that not sound interesting? Well, I hope so, because I was literally just describing Team Ruby. Come on, there's so many interesting parallels here. And what do we lose? Like,
whoa, okay, wait, I gotta go back a third time. Wait,
was the best choice for the position, but she's earnest and kind and caring about those around her. Does that not sound interesting? Well, I hope so, because I was literally just describing Team Ruby. Come on, there's so many interesting parallels here. And what do we lose by cutting out the rest of their teams? We lose out on a cool design. None of them have enough personality to warrant losing out on their actual characters. This isn't just limited to the Beacon days either. Look at the Aesops.
Man, if I was making a video, this would have been like my crux of my argument here. Like the whole parallel thing here. Damn.
most people might not think was setting out the rest of their teams. We lose out on a cool design, none of them have enough personality to warrant losing out on their actual characters. This isn't just limited to the Beacon days either. Look at the Aesops. 5 whole nobodies get thrown at us suddenly in Volume 7. The Atlas Elite, right? We got the one who dies, the rude one, boring number 1 and boring number 2, and then that one Faunus character. Okay.
Okay,
Beacon days either. Look at the Aesops. 5 whole nobodies get thrown at us suddenly in Volume 7. The Atlas Elite, right? We got the one who dies,
To summarize Clover's character as the one who dies is kind of interesting. Alright.
Suddenly in Volume 7. The Atlas Elite, right? We got the one who dies, the rude one, boring number 1 and boring number 2, and then that one Faunus character. Okay.
Okay, that's very uncharitable.
Great, I don't care about any of these people. Jazz them up and shove them into the center stage as much as you like.
This is actually really interesting because when it comes to Ruby, Volume 7 and 8, like undoubtedly my favorite parts of Ruby, and I think they stand alone as like actually legitimately very good television, very good television is I guess what I would say. But I know that I imagine when you look it up, I know on Reddit and stuff, people hate Volume 7. Like it's one of the least liked seasons. And for me, it's like, it is either the best or the second best season of Ruby. So it's very interesting to see a video here and to kind of see why people don't like it. And I just like completely disagree with these reasons. I guess for me, when they're describing here the Aesops and talking about they don't like it because they're boring, and the reasons they're giving for, I guess that really is their reason. They're just not interested in them. Because they don't give any arguments here. They just say, oh, Clover's the one who dies, Harriet's the one who's annoying, or whatever. Whereas for me, I'm like, oh yeah, I love them. I love how they interact. They're like a parallel to Team Ruby. I love Clover. He's a nice like opposite to Clover. Not Clover, Jesus. I love Clover because he's an opposite of Crow, and it's kind of like Crow gets to see the life he could have had if he didn't have his like bad luck quirk or whatever, because he's like negating it. I don't know. I feel like there is a lot of cool stuff with the Aesops, but it's interesting to see that a lot of people didn't like them apparently. Wait, IMDb graph. Is it true? Let's see. Is Volume 7 actually ranked lower? Yeah, Jesus Christ. I mean, it's not that much lower, but like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then there's 7, which is like, look, it's all the way down here. It's as bad as Volume 1 apparently. When these two seasons are the best, all right? I think Season 6 was also really good. No, wait, that can't be right. Season 9 is like, it's pretty bad. I can't believe that got such high ratings. Jesus. Why is that? The Ruby fandom's crazy, right?
It's been 7 years of the show's runtime. I don't have it in me to care about these barely explored side nobodies out of nowhere. But you know who I would have cared about? Ciel. We introduced Ciel in Volume
Okay.
3. People immediately loved her. She was already interested.
Wait. People loved her? Jesus. The fandom is like... The Ruby fandom, I guess, is more so than maybe any other fandom I've seen. Is the most like parasocial with the creators or whatever. Like it feels like what can I say? Like for instance, the dragon that comes at the end of Volume 3, they have some name for it in the fandom, and like everyone, I don't know it, but like everyone in the fandom knows the name. It's like Boris or something. It's like some simple name. And there's like so many, like even this this like bunny character here, I know like a lot of people are just like obsessed with her for some reason. Like there's a very weird, the Ruby fandom is very strange. They have like weird head cannons and stuff. The fact that this random character who I don't remember, I feel like, yeah, she was like Penny's like handler or something that I think she was in one episode. The fact that she got such a warm reception in the fandom is like wild to me.
With her cute design and fun personality gimmick. Replace Harriet with Ciel. But don't stop there. Winter and Penny are also already Ironwood's main council. Take the one that's going to die and replace him with Penny, and then take one of the boring ones and replace them with Winter. And while we're here, screw it, just replace the last of them with Flint and Neon. Another couple of characters from Atlas introduced in Volume 3.
But it's like, what if videos like this are just like, I can never get into them because it creates so many issues. Like if you replace any of the characters with characters that have other roles in the story, then their original role in the story is completely overridden. Like Winter and Penny's role in Volume 7 or whatever is about the Maiden, right? Like where they're trying to Winter is like being ruthless and Penny's like trying to follow in her footsteps, but she doesn't want to be as ruthless, and eventually it's like, oh, you know what? Winter's doing the right thing and blah, 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 blah. It's all like comes together. They have their own little storyline. So if you place them in this storyline, their storyline disappears and it like unravels the entirety of the show. And then you can't have the fight between team whatever, the ace team here, whatever, and Ruby, and you can't have Team Ruby win that fight because then you're like beating these two like big characters, and it's like, how can you have this be a potential what if situation without like undermining the whole show? And it's always like this for every what if situation I see. I just like can't get into it, you know?
And Neon, another couple of characters from Atlas introduced in Volume 3 that people fell in love with. Our team knew how much people liked Team Funky because they bothered bringing them back into the story out of nowhere in Volume 7 already, and also introduced their two other lame-o teammates. Forget about that, just make this your Aesops. Ruby so often introduces interesting characters into the show, then decides to just throw them away to make new characters instead. You've already gone through the trouble of—
Didn't she earlier say that these characters were like boring? Like this whole team, unless I don't remember, because she just said they were interesting. I thought earlier on she was like a bunch of useless side characters. Maybe she excluded these guys.
that people fell in love. Ruby so often introduces interesting characters into the show, then decides to just throw them away to make new characters instead. You've already gone through the trouble of designing a cool character. Use them. God, could you imagine if Sun, Penny, Velvet, and Cardin fought Team Indigo in the tournament? Because like we didn't need to see Team Sun's.
I have no idea who Team Indigo is, alright?
Throw them away to make new characters instead. You've already gone through the trouble of designing a cool character. Use them. God, could you imagine if Sun, Penny, Velvet, and Cardin fought Team Indigo in the tournament? Because like we didn't need to see Team Sun's fight. That was kind of pointless. But then if we would have seen this one, it would have helped set up—
It wasn't pointless. Like, on one hand, you're criticizing like side characters for not getting use out of them, and then on the other hand, you're saying, "Oh, I'm so like, why do we get more like, why do we get more use out of these side characters? Which is it? You want more of them or you want less of them? My God."
Team Indigo in the tournament. Because like we didn't need to see Team Sun's fight. That was kind of pointless. But then if we would have seen this one, it would have helped set up Penny, just because she makes it into the finale. Oh man, oh it would have been cool. Oh, I want this team. It would have been neat. Number 4. Hey, we have a gigantic army of heroes now.
Or is this video going over my head? Is she being like super ironic? And it's like when she says, "Oh, I wish we saw this team," she's criticizing the show because we do have the team, which is Team Ruby, because these characters were like placeholders for Team Ruby. And this is like actually a genius video essay and not like the dumb video essay I was thinking. I feel like that's actually what's going on here, and it's just gone over my head, potentially.
Just because she makes it into the finale. Oh man, oh it would have been cool. Oh, I want this team. It would have been neat. Number 4. Hey.
There's like, so yeah, something, either it's like, either it's a bad video essay or it's like a genius video essay, and I can't tell which one it is. And no one's commenting on it, so either it went over everyone's head. Penny, Velvet, Cardin, and Sun being a team is so smart. Like, oh my god, that immediately has such an interesting dynamic. Are these people like... There's no way this is irony, right? Is there a chance? I feel like this person has subscribers. They could be a YouTuber. Wait. Like, how does Cardin feel being in a team with 3 people he looks down on? Who's the leader? Oh, okay, no. This person just... bit the bullet. Oh no, here we go. Oh my god, you pointed out the similarities to Team Ruby. Okay, so I thought this comment was talking about it afterwards, but I guess they made that comment before the revelation. Broad team of Penny, Cardin, Velvet, Sun sound ironically amazing. This is crazy. I can't believe this. This person in this video, you know what I'm come to the conclusion that this person made an amazing point in this video with this reveal here, where they revealed that this cast of characters, who I would be really interested to see, have like a larger role and be a team. Then they like do the plot twist of like, guess what? That excitement you have for this team, that's what Ruby should be, Team Ruby, because I literally just described the characteristics of Team Ruby and I said there was someone else. And I feel like it's such a genius idea. And now everyone is like unironically making the point that that original team, which she listed of these like characters with Penny and blah, 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 all them, everyone in the comments is saying that's a great team, but they're not understanding the point, which is that the team is great, which makes Team Ruby bad. And then if you like understand that point, then all these comments come across as like super ironic, where they're like criticizing Ruby by saying this team would be amazing. When they say amazing, they're kind of making fun of Team Ruby. But I feel like there's no way they're being that ironic. This is crazy. Look, Penny, Velvet, Cardin, Sun. Like everyone is, I mean, not everyone, but a bunch of people are pointing out the team, but they're not pointing out the twist. Which makes me feel like this video has like not even recognized the point that they the genius point they made midway through.
We have a gigantic army of heroes now. I don't think the villains stand a chance. A side effect of having a really big cast is that suddenly you need to give the villains a large force in order to justify the big cast not instantly stomping everybody. Here's our 9 million superheroes. Oh, but it's a good thing Thanos arbitrarily has millions of alien Goombas, because otherwise they'd just be curb stomping his ass in a heartbeat, right? Endless hordes of orcs and urukai, an army of zombie monsters, stories with large casts, often
The Rumbling in Attack on Titan, an army of colossal titans.
and with the cast facing a war of monsters to fill out the battle, because there's so many characters, they all need to do something, so it's not easily won in the end. Here's the problem. RWBY's been doing this since Volume 2. The heroes have plowed through tons and tons and tons of Grim, millions upon billions of Grim. No matter how much bigger or badder the Grim look, the heroes have all handled it with ease over and over and over again. It's boring now. Killing monsters in droves is something our heroes handled with ease before they finished school. Now, as adults, with at least one maiden on their side, RWBY's silver eye power is getting stronger and stronger, yeah, the Grim stand no chance. And what's worse is the fact that while the hero side of the story has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every passing year, the villains' ranks have gotten smaller and more pathetic. We've lost
What an absurd statement. Like, the heroes get bigger, and then in Volume 4, we get a massive bump to the cast of the villains. Like, we get a lot of them. And then slowly we've lost a few of them over time, but we've also gained new villains, like Ironwood, and the entirety of Atlas, like the whole Aesops, they became villains. Like, that's a ridiculous statement to say that the villains haven't grown.
Has gotten bigger and bigger and bigger every passing year. The villains' ranks have gotten smaller and more pathetic. We've lost Watts, Hazel, Adam, Neo, Torchwick, Emerald's a good
Okay, if they're Neo, we just lost in Volume 9. Okay, sweet.
Hazel, Adam, Neo, Torchwick, Emerald's a good guy now. All that's left with the villains are Salem, Cinder, Tyrion, and Mercury. That's
Yeah, at the end of Volume 9, but like, in each volume, you have like a very large cast of villains. Like, just because at the end of like Game of Thrones, like we got Jon Snow, Grey Worm, and like Sansa, like it doesn't mean that like it just doesn't say anything about like how many villains we had throughout the story, right? Like to me, this is like an absurd statement to me.
are Salem, Cinder, Tyrion, and Mercury. That's literally it. When I did my fanfiction pre-write for Volume 9, I was like, I'll bring back all of the villains over the years to better embolden the villains' faction. And then I realized that other than Junior and the Malachi twins, there are no other villains. What, Salem's going to drag Little Miss into the battle? I don't think so. Is Salem going to hunt down those high school bullies and recruit them into her team? Even if we cut out all of the side characters and just looked at our heroes, Team Ruby and Team Juniper, we'll even leave out Crow and Winter and everyone else like that, just Ruby and Juniper. They could still easily handle Cinder, Tyrion, and Mercury, right? Cinder has become notorious for constantly losing every battle she's been in since Volume 5. Ruby has already bested
Just because on a meta level, the character of Cinder loses the big climactic battles, that doesn't imply anything on if Team Ruby could beat her. Like, Cinder loses battles because she's placed in difficult battles. If you place her in an easy battle against Team Ruby, Cinder's gonna win. Like, I guess on the meta level, she might lose, but like in a character sense, or like story sense, she would win easily.
Cinder has become notorious for constantly losing every battle she's been in since Volume 5. Ruby has already bested Tyrion once, and Yang has beaten Mercury once, even with
Wait, did she beat Tyrion? What did she use as an example here?
Mercury, right? Cinder has become notorious for constantly losing every battle
Am I forgetting? Wait.
she's been in since Volume 5. Ruby has already bested Tyrion.
Okay. I've either forgotten, like maybe I've just forgotten, but the example she's using on screen here is when Crow beat Tyrion. Like, Crow beats Tyrion. Ruby steps in at the end a little bit to like help out Crow, but Crow is like 95% of that battle, and Ruby just comes into the end and like does the like final 5%. And she actually just like gets in the way as well. Like, it's not really that thing, like that much of a help. That's an absurd statement to say that Ruby has already beaten Tyrion in the past. Now, it could be that after Volume 4, like in Volume 5 to 9 or whatever, they fight again and she like wins, but I completely don't remember that. And this is like a massive like factual error to make in a claim like this here.
She's been in since Volume 5. Ruby has already bested Tyrion once, and Yang has beaten Mercury once, even
Yang has beaten Mercury, but that was that's another like absurd example. That was the whole point of that battle, was for, yeah, this is like this is either very dishonest, like legitimately, or they're misremembering, or they're just trying to frame something to fit their argument. Because in this battle, the whole point was for Mercury to lose to Yang, right? So that Yang would break his arm and Yang would be out of the whole rest of the arc, right? I feel like that was the entire point. Like, so that, because then Yang would, like, her being out of the fight and seeing them break his arm brought all the Grimm there and led to the whole climax of that entire volume. So Mercury obviously went easy on Yang. And yeah, that's like two absurd examples here that are just not true at all.
Mercury once, even with
like initially when they were making examples that to me seemed really bad, I was like, okay, maybe I'm forgetting things, or like maybe they're just like what they took from a fight was like slightly different to what I did, I guess. But these two things make me feel like the entire video was like either not dishonest, but like, yeah, it's just like really cherry-picked poor examples or something. Jesus.
Salem's healing abilities, I really don't think beating her would be much of an issue with these 8 working together. And also, clearly, punching her a lot until she stops moving isn't going to be how they solve the problems anyway with Salem. So we don't need to worry about them fighting her.
I don't know. Maybe that'll solve the issue. I don't know how Ruby's writing is. You know?
It's just these 3, and they could easily beat these 3. Battles have no stakes anymore. Oh, who's died?
This has got to be one of the worst arguments I've ever seen in a YouTube video. That this like past minute. Like, based on 2 factually incorrect things. Jesus, I can't believe it. This is as bad as like that one video where they claimed that Mappa is animating One Punch Man. And not only did they make the claim, which would be okay, but they said that it's officially announced that Mappa is like animating One Punch Man. I'm like, Jesus, why would you say that without like looking it up?
Fine. Okay, 3 down. There's still another 20 plus characters waiting in the wings. When you introduce a fun new toy to play with, you also have to balance out the opposing side of the toys. No one's changed sides to be with Salem. Salem hasn't gained any new followers. The villains' forces have stagnated and been killed off. The more and more they bloat their cast, the less seriously I take the villains. I guess a solution they could have would be to suddenly introduce a whole bunch of characters who do team up with Salem. Oh yeah, that's a great idea. Our main villains being filled out with random people who are suddenly introduced 10 years into the show's runtime. With no time for character development, they're only here to pose a threat. Great, just really great storytelling right there.
Well, obviously this person disagrees, but they did a great job with the what do you even call them, the Ace team or whatever, the Atlases, like that team, that was great. They did a great job in Volume 4 with introducing like all the villains basically with Arthur and Hazel and Tyrion and all them. They were really great. So I see no reason why they can't just do it again and introduce more villains. Like, I thought that would be great. Like, it would be great, I think, because they've done it great in the past. But obviously this person disagrees with those 2 examples of, like, character introductions.
Yeah, really excited.
Oh, the Aesops, that's what I was thinking.
They were introducing new characters into the show, especially in the early volumes. The world was so vast and fun, I just craved seeing more of what it had to offer. Seeing cool new weapons and semblances and designs, meet characters from different parts of the world. But as time has gone on, that thrill has gone away and turned into annoyance. Yeah, a cool new weapon or semblance is neat, but I'd still rather get to see our real characters using theirs instead. I watch as Team Ruby fade further and further into the background as the many other, vastly less interesting characters take center stage. Team Ruby struggled to maintain their loose grasp of plot relevance, as other characters who were not on screen for 2.5 volumes get propped up instead. Interesting characters get quietly forgotten as the writers insist on crapping out half-baked new ones now. Ruby doesn't have a problem with cast bloat. Ruby has a problem with its characters in general.
I cooked you some bacon for a trail snack.
I ate it already.
What? Isn't it stunning?
It's just a big dumb pond. This morning, I saw a YouTube clip of a little puppy riding a motorcycle.
Well, first of all, send me a link to that video.
Do you have any?
Boy, is this the whole end of the video?
I have an uncle who does yoga.
They love art.
Cool Duck and
Welcome to City Hall, Cupcake!
How many of you are in here? Allergies?
Cowardice and weak-willed men. And hazelnuts.
shout out to my $10 patrons. You're all amazing. Nako, Cool Duck, Andrew, Valhalla Knight, Chamomile, G Extreme, Classic Critic, Noah Perkins, Sunny Shy, Jake, Amber, Hype Man, Zero to Hero, Isaiah, Scaring Crows, Not All That Evil, Messiah Complex,
Oh my god, so many
Jacob,
$10
Virus,
patrons.
Ben Sketchbook, The Watcher, Omega Fighter, Trash, Wild Pilot, Josh, Swift Cannon, The Infinity Effect, and Gino. So yeah, what do you think about all this? What do you think about the team of Penny, Velvet, Sun, and Cardin? I had this idea like a year ago, and I fell in love. That seems like...
Oh my god, they didn't even realize the genius point they made. Oh my god. That's wild to me. Jesus.
Such a fun team combo. It seems like what a wacky combination. Also, what do you think about the Aesops change up? I think putting Ciel on the Aesops especially.
Oh my god, they're even doubling down on the what if scenario.
Would have made so much more sense, you know? What do you think about anything I said? I talked a lot about this video, a lot about the cast and stuff. Do you agree or disagree with anything I have to say? I would love to see your comments down below, and I'll see you in the next one.
Oh my god. What do I even say about this video? Okay, let's start with the good stuff, alright? I thought the editing was good. I thought the music choices were great. the narration I think was really good. It felt kind of natural, you know. This person clearly has thought a lot about Ruby. You know, it's not just like some random, it's not like some big random like big YouTuber who's like making some video about like some series they've heard of. This is like a person who's entrenched in the fandom of Ruby, all right? What else good can I say? Obviously, the best thing they said in this video was this revelation that like these characteristics would be really fun to see interact, and to reveal that, you know what? We do have them, but they don't interact, and wouldn't the show be so much better if they did interact? And that was like the whole, if that was the thesis of this video, it would have been like a 10 out of 10, but their own genius thesis went over their head, which is wild to me. Okay, so that's good. The bad is this incredibly either dishonest or biased or like factually incorrect stuff at the end here about the characters of Team Ruby being able to beat the villains because they did in the past, even though they didn't in the past. That was insane. And that makes me undermine, like, that makes me like doubt everything else that was made, every other claim, I guess, about the plot that's been made here. So that's bad. And I feel like I just completely disagreed with everything, but I guess that doesn't make it a bad video, but yeah, I disagreed with basically every point. Like, I don't think you need the main characters to be doing the plot stuff. You know, they can do main character other stuff, you know? I don't feel like the side characters that get introduced later on, I don't feel like they're boring or like completely uninteresting. I actually find them really interesting. I don't know what else. Basically, I disagree with everything, but yeah. So this had the highest potential to actually be really good, but ended up not being. And goddamn, 71,000 views. Oh, it is a big channel as well, 52k. This didn't feel like a big channel video. Not in a bad way. Like, I like the editing and stuff. It just felt like a smaller channel, I guess. I don't know. Jesus. Oh my god, what ruined Ruby? I didn't even know this was a hater. I guess the other valuable thing I took from that video is to kind of see what people don't like about Volume 7. And it just like reinforces to me that like, I guess I'm correct that Volume 7 is actually really good, because none of those arguments convince me at all that it's bad. Damn. Oh, and they're a big What If channel making Ruby Volume 2 better. Anyway, I'm glad there's a lot of... I'm glad this channel exists, you know? I love me some Ruby content. I guess I would be willing to watch more of this person's videos. Damn, they're really making a lot of Ruby videos. I wonder if they're like the biggest Ruby channel. Are there like other Ruby channels? I don't know. Anyway, I have a Jujutsu Kaisen episode to watch. And look at that. My god, we've knocked down 3 videos on this list. But anyway, that's enough for today. Short stream. Was that even an hour long? Oh, yeah, it was an hour and 7 minutes and 18, 19, 20 seconds long. For all my Ruby fans out there, which I feel like there's probably none, I hope you enjoyed that. For all my non-Ruby fans out there, I hope you go to Crunchyroll right now and watch Ruby Volume 1. The first episode is like 6 minutes long. The second episode is like 7 minutes long. I know Volume 1, I think as a whole, is like, it's like less than an hour long, isn't it? Wait, Ruby Volume 1 runtime. Okay, it's an hour and 54 minutes, all right? You want to watch an entire season of Ruby? It's less than the time of a movie, all right? So go watch it, all right? I vouch for it. I love Ruby. It's a great show. And with that, I say farewell.